Greetings and welcome to the Dream Syndicate. Today I'm going to share my process of how I design an art doll as I design Krampus. Krampus comes from a time when the characters of children's tales were a lot more menacing. When he came to visit you, he might leave you a lump of coal, beat you with a switch, or even throw you in his sack and drag you down to hell with him. When trying to come up with a depiction of such a legendary character, I wanted to do some research and see what different local lore there might be about Krampus that might give me some inspiration for the character. I wanted this to be my interpretation of Krampus, so when you're trying to design something original, there are two ways to go about that. You can either try to create in as much of a vacuum as you can with complete ignorance to what other artists or creators have made of that character, or you can do a ton of research and look at a bunch of different versions of it, and then just go into your sketchbook and see what you come up with when you're remembering those images. Here I'm just making some quick sketches of Krampus's head, and the one on the bottom right ended up being the most interesting to me. I liked sort of the roundness of the upper part of the head and then how it was an elongated narrow section from the lower face to the beard, kind of a light bulb shape with a really long triangle attached to it. Then I started to doodle different ideas of what the body could look like, and even started to mess around with the way the costuming was going to look. I had this idea that he was probably going to have this sort of hooded robe, almost like a mockery of the Santa Claus robe. I also like to think of characters in terms of shapes, and for this version of Krampus, I kind of wanted him to have a big burly upper body and maybe slightly smaller feet, so his cloven hooves would maybe look a little undersized for his mass. I was thinking about characters that are exaggeratedly top-heavy, where they have this inverted triangle. They're very large and burly on the top, and then kind of have little teeny little legs. Here's a sketch I ended up basing my art doll build on. I wanted the version that I made to be referential to the historical art of Krampus, things that are made way long ago, but still be my own original interpretation. I brought my sketch into Photoshop and messed around with different color combinations. This way, when I bought fabric for the character or went to paint him, I knew more or less what I was trying to get at. I actually ended up having the fabric for the robes and what I used for Krampus's fur, so I only needed to get the fur trim for the robe, the fabric for the sack, and the chains that are looped around him, and some bells, of course. In future videos, I'll show you how I built this art doll as well. I also messed around with making a greeting card out of Krampus, so at some point I'll probably make this available. Here I'm messing around with type and ideas for how I might lay it out. I'd love to see the branches and the type have that raised effect to it and be in silver and gold, sort of the way Christmas cards tend to look. Including the silver and gold branches was inspired by a bit of lore I came across where Krampus would leave a gold branch for children that were good and might get a treat, and a silver branch for children that he might punish. And the text, Gruß vom Krampus, that I'm absolutely not pronouncing correctly, is German for greetings from Krampus. When I end up making something out of it, I'll leave a pinned comment so you can get one if you'd like. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to join me making the imaginary reality, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Until next time, make believe.